Hello, sweet souls. It is DTO in the flow. Welcoming everyone to take a deep breath and get present, get ready, because today I get to interview Jeremy Weinglass. Jeremy has 30 years of experience as a professional pianist and an extensive repertoire of classical, jazz, standards, musicals, rock, and pop music. As a full-time musician working in Los Angeles since 2001, Jeremy has maintained long-term residencies at high-end hotels, restaurants, and shopping malls. Since the pandemic, though, everyone has their pandemic story. Let's hear what Jeremy's is. He's put a pause on the live events, and that's been a struggle for many musicians, myself included. And so Jeremy has been focusing on releasing YouTube content. Actually, today there's a worldwide launch of a Hamilton medley that we'll be listening to, and also getting on the live stream concerts on Twitch. So anyone out there, if you're not following Jeremy Weinglass on Twitch, we'll show you how to do that in a moment. And then go to YouTube, Facebook, and all of these live experiences. Many of you out there already know who Jeremy is, and you may have already been following during these live streams. And there's multiple times that he's been out there sharing the content. I'm on his newsletter list, really amazing, inspirational music. And he is doing in-person events as well. So let's kick off this 5Q interview by experiencing this beautiful piano piece that we have. And it has multiple sections, but we're going to start at the beginning. And I love this logo intro. Check it out. Enjoy.
I love the contrast there. Yes. Oh, look, Kim's saying hi.
Hey, Kim.
Look at that.
So lovely.
Yeah.
And rumor has it that Kim is the videographer.
She is. She's actually gotten pretty pro lately. We've been a team here. We go into the
impressive,
and we did this in 2 takes, and she's got a good feel. I think we team up pretty well. You wouldn't believe it, but our 7-year-old daughter was in here too, Melody. I mean, make sure she was quiet during the takes. So little pressure, but we got it done.
Yes. It takes a team to build the dream, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here, Jeremy.
Absolutely.
Pleasure to have you on the show today. And what a beautiful piece. Love this. All right. So shall we dive in? This is our 5Q interview show. And anyone out there that's watching right now, we are live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. And you can, of course, comment if you're watching it live and enjoy if it's on the archive. And we always love when you comment, ask a question, and we remember that sharing is caring. And if you just don't have the strength to like type words, just Give us an emoji. Those are pretty easy, right? One and done. And before we get into the questions today, I want to make sure that you know how to connect with Jeremy Weinglass. He is on a multitude of social media platforms, which is Instagram, his website, and then there is a taplink.cc where you can get all the different places and spaces. All right. So Jeremy, not only are you an extraordinary piano player, you and I are soul brothers. We've known each other for well over a decade, and we're on this journey of life herself, and we're here as artists. And today we get to talk about your origin story. So let's start with number one. When did you begin playing piano?
Wow. Well, I was very lucky to have an early childhood experience with music. By the way, before I say this, I want to thank you, Dave, for having me on, and just think what you're doing is amazing, connecting artists and musicians and everything you're doing in your flow. So thank you for inviting me into your flow again. I think it was a year ago we did this first, and so it's good.
Yeah, it was a pre-pandemic. This is the next phase, the mid or the wherever we are. Yeah, wonderful. And this is what we get to hear from you. Like, what have you been doing during it, right?
Yes,
so let's.
I can't
it's been great.
Yeah, yes.
All right. So tell us about that little boy named Jeremy and the piano. How did you find the piano, or how did the piano find you? Dun, dun, dun.
Right. Well, I mean, I have an extensive crazy childhood story, but I'll keep it brief. Just that my mom did the best she could, but one of the best things I am grateful for is that she got me and my brother. I have an identical twin brother, and she raised us by herself. So, but it was her mission to make sure we had an artistic experiences as much as possible. So somehow, and being not well off at all, she managed to get us scholarships and some schools up in the Bay Area. I was able to get a scholarship to a music school, and for me, I somehow I was drawn to the piano. First they asked us what instruments we wanted to play, and I said, I learned about all the instruments in the orchestra, and then I thought the cello seemed interesting, so I said cello, and they said, okay, great, start with the piano. And apparently they told every student that, because the piano is, I think, the gateway to understanding the language of music the best, the easiest. And then if you took that for a year, you could change instruments. And I never did change instruments. I've never touched the cello. I've written music for cello, and violin. I love string instruments, but I gravitated the piano. And after a few years, I mean, by age 10, I knew this is what I wanted to do the rest of my life. And I'm aware that that's a unique experience, more or less. I know a lot of people even through college, they don't know what they want to do, but I always knew it was going to be piano. And so that's what I did. I stuck with it. Never looked back.
That's amazing. And so, because we're children of the 80s, I really feel like you're talking about your childhood, how you started to, play. I think the song "Take on Me" is such a great one to listen to at this moment. What do you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. This was pre-pandemic, like right before. This was late February. We were very fortunate to get into the E-Bell in Los Angeles, have this amazing piano, and our friend with Wolf Team Productions, amazing guy. We were able to get drone shots and all this stuff. We had all these ambitions to keep creating together. So we squeezed this in right before the lockdown. So. And this is me looking out the window, deciding what I'm going to play. This is a 9-foot Steinway, amazing, and this is "Take on Me," but reimagined in our latest unplugged version.
So great. I love this one.
Feel there's a whole other emotional level with this song if you bring
Mm-hmm.
it down and really feel into it. So yeah, it's one of my.
Oh, what a great take. Yeah. And, you and I being children of the 80s, born in the 70s, it's
Yeah,
just one of those songs. And so I think it really leads us beautifully into question number 2. So, of course, you started to play the piano, and a lot of us start playing cover music, and that's a cover song. And so, question number 2 I have for you is, what inspired you to create your own compositions?
right. So yeah, so yeah, the decision to do piano to have piano be my life going forward. That's a big thing to say, to declare. But now you got to get specific. Well, what about piano? So I was drawn to, first of all, I had classical training, and then at some point I moved into accompanying choirs, and that was huge because I opened up more of my improvisational ideas, and then getting into jazz around that time. That was junior high school. Very lucky to start making money that young, and realize, oh, this is something I could really do, in the long haul. And then on that journey, though, I naturally wanted to create myself, and I think that's really important, because there's so many classical artists that you can learn note for note. You can learn exactly how you think Mozart or Beethoven wanted the piece to be played, and then you can play it as flawlessly or as perfect as possible. But after that, whereas you're, other than your own personal interpretation, what is your voice? What are you saying? And I think I discovered fairly early, 11, 12, 13, and then so on, I started to get drawn to writing my own music. I was very fascinated about music theory, and I was very lucky that I was getting training, not just from piano lessons, but from a professional boys choir I was in. So I used to sing. Believe it or not, I was a section leader of the soprano, and as soon as my voice changed, I realized I was definitely focusing in on the piano for sure. And I wanted to create something. I wanted to create chord progressions, ideas, melodies, harmonies. And I was influenced by classical music, and then I was also influenced by pop music. So somehow this balance, I felt like there was something that I had something creative I could say, and I did that. What inspired me to create compositions specifically, I'll be honest, it was really cool to impress the ladies with. So either I had a girlfriend, or I was trying to impress a girl, and I wrote a lot of songs in high school for girls, and I would say, oh, this is called Thinking of You, this is called Gazing Eyes, and who gets a song written for them? So it was a cool little trick I had. I say trick, but it's genuinely what I could give from my heart, and that really inspired finding my voice this way. And it just evolved from there, through school, and then finding other inspiration through nature, and through all kinds of other aspects besides love. But that was the beginning.
I can completely understand that as well. It's such a time in your life when music comes into your heart. It just like pours in, and then you want to just like contribute, and then you fall in love with the music, with life, with whomever it is you're attracted to. I think for myself, I remembered learning Wind Beneath My Wings by Bette Midler, specifically because I wanted to play it for my first high school girlfriend.
Yes.
And it was like, I guess she walked by one of the practice rooms, because I was in a marching band and concert band and all that in high school. And she heard me playing it in one of the concert rooms. And then, she said yes. So it's one of those moments where, and that's where it's about self-expression and art, and getting connected, right, to what's possible. And music is emotions, it's frequencies, it's energy, and it can shift the way that we're feeling. It can open up, our chakras, our energy centers, and it can take you on this amazing journey, as we already listened to 2 of your covers with the Hamilton medley, as well as Take On Me, the song from the 80s by Aha, because both of those, it takes me back to memories. Like, you think of that song, and all of a sudden you're thinking of the music video, you're thinking of the era of MTV, you think of Hamilton, you're thinking of like Sign of the Times, historic figures, what we're experiencing now through history, and how music reflects that. And it's a soundtrack that can take us on a journey.
Right. And also to be kind of to separate those two, there's writing completely original music, and there's also arranging music. And so I think there's something to be said about that. And I think that arranging music, you can still make it your own. In fact, it's important to make your own. I actually didn't figure this out till later. I thought these were completely separate things. I was like, well, I mean, I could play covers, and I figured out like when I found my first job at Nordstrom, I was 18, and I'm like, they gave me the job, and there's guys playing jazz. You know, that wasn't really my thing. I could fake jazz and I could play standards. I had to
play a bunch of seventh chords, and you're good.
Yeah. And then just kind of like elevator music. But I realized people wanted to hear other things. So I started playing Metallica, and they're like, wow, that's great. This kid's playing Metallica in Nordstrom, and, you know, this kind of stuff. And I realized I could rock out. But it was just recently, like I'd say in the last few years, I've realized, wait, I don't want to just copy or play it as exact the track. I can make it my own other arrangement. And I've seen other pianists do this as well. So there's something to be said about putting really put your own twist. And that's what I did on these two songs that you heard. It was
definitely,
and reimagine it. And I part of me think I could have been doing this whole time. I thought they were separate, but it really, if you're putting your heart into something, you can always make it your own. You know, you can always tweak it, change it. And so that's always my goal, to continue to do that.
That's awesome. I have to share a quick side story. When I was taking piano lessons, my mom attempted to teach me, which she did for a while. But as you know, parents don't always, you know, because I was one to cop out, like, Mom, I want to go outside and play with my friends, you know. So she got me a piano teacher, and the piano teacher gave a report card like after 5 years, and basically said to my mom, like, well, you know, he's playing Beethoven, but he's doing it his own way. And so that's kind of what I'm, you know, synthesizing from what your comments are, is like, you're playing whomever, I call it OPM sometimes, right? Like other people's music. And you're, and so sometimes we're down with OPM, right? And it's like, we're going to inspire like what that music does for us. And then whatever, you know, music's reflecting life, life's reflecting music, and art does all of that. And so I love how these versions of these covers have your style to it. It's like the Weinglass version, the mix, the remix. Exactly. That's wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. And so arrangement, I love when you're talking about that, because, you know, those are pathways like the valleys and the mountains where you're going to take people emotionally. And when you're playing other people's music, you can, you know, kind of massage a little bit, but the GPS, you know, it's already been set. So the direction of that piece. So your own compositions, one of the first ones I heard of yours was the album you did according to the months. And I saw your album launch party at the Fire Garden, and there was performers, and it was just out of this world. It was incredible. And so what inspired you to start taking thematic approaches and doing compositions by the months? Like, how did that come about as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the Odyssey is what I called it. I envisioned the Odyssey was the journey through the months of the year, and that idea came to me in college. I went to UC Santa Barbara, and I was majored in music composition, and I was kind of an outlier there because everybody was interested in. There was a small circles that were interested in atonal music, and the best description of what that is breaking all rules and having just mathematical noise, I guess I would say, without a melody. So they made fun of thematic or cinematic movies scores that were being done at, say, USC, for example. But so they're in their little bubble, and I was like, well, I kind of like the cinematic storytelling of, you know, classical and cinematic composition. So I was like, maybe I'm in the wrong school, but I did double the work. But I did take aspects of that, is having these constructing these ideas and like coming up with the months of the year. I thought no one's done this. I mean, we all know that, you know, we all know about the seasons, but we have not heard. There's 4 of them, but we haven't heard of 12 months, and there's 12 keys. So I was like, I got to do this. And so I was like, what's it going to sound like? And I went through each month, and I figured it was the assignment I gave myself out of college. I said, I'm going to write one a month as it goes through. And this was back in 2001. And the story goes that I ended up at writer's block after like April. I was like, how can I keep going on these? Like, they're each, I mean, I wanted to make sure they were just like awesome. I didn't want to just have any fillers, and I just somehow ran out of gas. And I thought, I almost changed the first 4. I said, well, these sound like they could be seasons, actually. Maybe I should just, you know, succumb to the seasons and it'll be fine, you know, winter, spring, whatever. Like, but no, but I held strong, and, you know, fast forward 5 years. I meet a violinist. I have more experiences. I go to Burning Man. I meet my wife, and all of a sudden I'm reinvented each month, and I have this storyline, and then things happen. I'm like, this isn't just a piano odyssey; it's a violin odyssey. Wait a minute, we can put dancers to this. We have dancing friends. We have people spitting fire. We have these festivals. Whoa! And all my mind was blown. And so I meet Michelle Levon, and she's just drawn to me about, like, we can create a whole storyline in this. And it ended up being the biggest project I'd ever created. And it was kind of like I wrote a film score before knowing I was writing for a film. So I had this entire
that's wonderful.
odyssey, and then it was like, let's extract characters. Let's create the story out of this and have it come to life. It was the most amazing undertaking, and still to this day, I'd say is the biggest thing we've ever done. And my wife and I, she produced it, and we put this on.
That's incredible.
You're still remembering it, but there was a huge origin from that story.
And I love there's a key part of your story that I'd love to reflect back to you, is where, you know, the hero's journey, right? You're in this moment where you want to succumb, you want to throw in the towel, like, you know, throw the towel, Mick, throw the towel. And you were like, okay, I said 12. That's my intention. That's my goal. And then you were stopping at 4. So what happened for you? As you said, like, it looked like, from what I'm listening to, and when I say look like, because we were probably at the same burn, is like, you see it, you get all the stimuli, you get all of these life transformational moments happening. And so that's a larger question that a lot of people have to artists, like, where's your inspiration come from? And, you know, I feel like we're sponges, right? We're absorbing the stimuli at all times, like you being a dad, having your daughter, husband, your wife, going out and playing and performing for people, being a part of this extraordinary community, having these, you know, angels that come in your life, like Michelle, who mentions, like, I got the vision for the characters, you know. So, like, if you would not have said, I'm going for it anyway, then none of that would have taken place. So what was that like moment? Do you think it happened over time? Did you have an aha? Did you have the Doc Brown, the 1.21 gigawatts? You were like, that's it, I'm going to do the whole thing? Or what? Take us through that, because I know the writer's block is a big deal for people, whether you're an author, musician, and, you know, little nugget of information or advice perhaps of how do you move past that stopping point?
Wow. Okay. That's a lot there. I would say, I'll work backwards. So, advice to myself and to others. I say myself because I think there's 2 ways to handle writer's block. And one way is to surrender to it and allow it to be okay. Just know that you need other experiences. So I had a teacher in college gave me permission to do that. I think they wrote an essay. I can't remember offhand, but I copied it down and I wrote it in this piece of paper, and I looked at it often after college, and it said something in the lines of, you have to experience more life to experience more music. Like, music's going to get stagnated unless you take other interests. And so it kind of gave me permission that I knew a writer's block was inevitable, and then I just allowed it to be. Now, if you allow it to be too long, the second strategy is to go back. What did work for me? What worked was giving yourself a deadline, giving yourself an inspiration. So I said, what worked when I was a child or younger? It was, there's a birthday coming up, there's an anniversary, there's an event, I still need to give myself some motivation, some, you know, a deadline, if you will. It's an ongoing debate about, is inspiration, you wait for it, or do you force it or make it happen? And it's a little of both. So I think there's 2 aspects, but have those experiences and then return to the piano, return to your music making, your creativity, and then allow new ideas to come.
I love that. Yeah, that allowing, that whole like surrender, and also calling for things for what they are, you know, like declaring like, I'm at a stopping point and that's okay. I still get to breathe. I still get to, you know, enjoy other aspects of my life and welcome in other inspirations. Right. So here's a great time, I feel, talking about amazing inspirations. I want to show this clip on Twitch, and this is so much fun.
That's Melody dancing in the background, and you can see some details. You see that cardboard yellow box? That's her art piece of giving food deliveries. She wants to give food deliveries to people. She's so creative. She has so much fun with me, and she's part of my brand. My daughter is on Twitch. It's amazing.
Oh, nice. Here's another clip too.
Yes. She likes to do the daddy lap challenge. I'm playing Chopin. But what's cool about this is
that's wonderful.
Yeah, what's cool about this is some of these clips are my new fans have sent to me. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I can use these. So that's what I sent to you. Some of these clips. People are engaged, and they're engaged with her as well. But talking about inspiration, I mean, what better inspiration than your own daughter? Like I wrote her a song. I wrote her 2 songs. The first one, she was born 7 years ago, over 7 years ago, was on my album, my last album that we actually released, a physical album. And
great. I remember those days. I'm actually
and then just this December during the pandemic, it was my song I wrote for. I'm still working on. It's got lyrics. It's deep. It's really personal for her, and it speaks to the children and about parenting and doing the best we can, and what the world is like right now. And so it inspired me on a different level to add lyrics and to add more to that. I have nothing to share with that yet, because it's still work in progress, but she was my inspiration for that. And
oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So question number 3 is, so how does your daughter respond to your music? We already see that she's dancing, having fun and enjoying that. And how do people in general respond when they either watch you perform online, which I know you're doing a lot of live streaming, as well as you do some in-person events. So
right. Well, so I mean, let me think about this. So I've been very blessed and had been very grateful for over my career to get feedback all the time. I mean, it kind of was my identity or who I am, kind of like play a gig, play a party, play a wedding. And, some of these days, especially a wedding, can be the most important day of the bride's and groom's life. And to get the feedback constantly, oh, that you made the day, you made our night, you made our event. I'm so happy, sometimes in tears. The music just made everything. It was, just to see this genuine compliments, getting emails, getting notes. And so one of the hardest parts of the pandemic was that completely stopping and not having that. That's part of like, hey, it was it was a real ego check, because I'm like, well, that's not happening. I can't even show up to my regular gig at Hotel Bel Air and get these regular compliments, get these regular people responding. So restarting again online and streaming. And so that's a whole new experience. But so I realized how I was taking it for granted, perhaps, and I hadn't had that experience in a while. But one quick story: I was able to play on Thanksgiving Day at a senior living center, and this was a very rare occurrence. I'm like, wow, they're inviting me to play on Thanksgiving, and like this is masks and everything, and I'm like, this is a completely different experience. And this was in November, of course, and just going in there and playing and only having 6 people, having a social distance. And I'm like, is this the experience I couldn't wait for, playing for people now? Can I see their expressions? But even then, I was playing a Chopin nocturne at the very end of the concert there were like 7 or 8 people there, and they're all in tune. They're very engaged. And this woman came up to me. I hadn't spoken once, and she looked at me and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, I asked my husband in heaven for a sign that he's with me. And this is it. Thank you. And it was just, that's why I do this. That's the moment. So sometimes we don't know who we're playing for or how many people are listening. But there it is. It was just reconfirmed from the universe.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
affirmation, right? Words of affirmation, really beautiful. Yeah. Lovely. So your creative process, we chatted a little bit about that, around being inspired by your family, being inspired by other people, even sharing about the praise that you get. Like, that fuels us up sometimes as artists. Of course, we do our best to be objective with what we're creating, but it comes from the heart. It is through the heart. And so your creative process is my question number 4. And it's that macro vision, of what's the art of creating your art. Like, it's a whole process. It's a dance, right? As Alan Watts says, you don't work music, you play music. So right. What is your dance of life? Like, how do you get to have as much wholeness and completeness and, possibilities to be in your flow as much as you're able to?
I love this question. I guess this is about balance. It's finding our balance, and also playing off of what we spoke about, expanding beyond music. So the art of creating art is really creating wellness and creating consciousness. And so for me, one of my other interests, which seems outside of music, but maybe it's connected, is well-being and being in a flow. As you are, I keep up my own yoga practice. I keep up lifting weights somehow, even though the weight room was closed. I still figure out, I do it in my bedroom now, or I've adjusted. My process is really taking care of my well-being and continue to evolve that. I was, quick side note, I was a personal trainer for like a little bit at 24 Hour Fitness just at the time. I don't necessarily enjoy training people, but I did it so I could continue my flow and learn more aspects of taking care of my body. And so, of course, I added yoga, and I've added even qigong, and I've added whatever I've learned along the way. And I have that morning routine. And my morning routine, and now especially adding, because I'm so grateful to live by a park, so I can run around the park now. And I've embraced running, and where it used to not do it as much, and now it's like, okay, this is all good. This is all healthy. Getting my vitamin D, getting clarity, and just being healthy, especially in the mornings. And so my process is really being clear in that moment to start my creative flow. And so the second part I want to say about this is that my creative flow is not just writing music. My creative flow is deciding is all the creativity that's required, all of the creativity, like what my next theme is going to be, what I'm in Toastmasters, so maybe it's a speech I'm working on. How am I, what is a creative way I'm working with my wife, Kim, who we are business partners. So we're communicating on what the next creative project's going to be. So there's so much creativity that needs to continue to flow. And I find that that's the space where it happens. It could be a musical idea. It could be a speech idea. It could just be the next, I know what needs to happen next, or, these kind of things come to me. And the way it comes to me is, get this, in silence. I do not like listening to music, pushing me during workout. I really like letting my thoughts move freely and staying focused in that way. And that's where the most creativity comes to me. And then I get inspired. And sometimes after that, in the afternoon, I'm like, okay, I have to do this. I've got this idea, or I pitch an idea to my wife, or something, whatever it is. I get something can become, my clarity comes when I'm focused on my health and well-being and being present.
I love that. And thank you for sharing like the inside view of your world, because I also, the impact you've had on me by sharing that just now is like, oh, I guess I'm not the only musician that prefers silence. Like we have our little vipassanas. Yeah. People make the assumption like I'm just raging all night, like going hard and whatever, or just I'm meditating with my ambient compositions. And I feel there is something like certain music, I sometimes always dip back into as just, hey, I just want to. But a lot of times I'm like you, majority of the time I drive without music, I work out without music, because it's such an integral part of our life. It's, what is music? The silence between the notes.
Yes. Yeah, the space between the notes. There
Yes.
it is.
So we get to have our space, man.
Yes. In order to create the new notes, that's
Yes,
we need the space. Yeah.
absolutely. And you can't, if the water's already filled, it's going to overflow, right? So you got to keep that vessel open and receptive. And that's,
I mean, honestly, the challenge I find is when I know I've got a good idea, like I'm coming up, I'm like, yes. And I'm like thinking that, and I'm working out, and even the space between the sets. And I'm like, I got it. And then I think, just should I go write this down really quick? And I don't wait, no, keep in the, and then so sometimes that's the dilemma. Yeah. But I know I'm where I'm supposed to be when I'm like, and you know what I figured out? Sometimes I go to write, but it sometimes it takes me out of my flow. So what I do is I go, if this is a really good idea, really focus in on it, really get it. Like, and so I go more laser focused. And so this strategy really works for me, because then I come out of and then I'm done with my workout. I'm done with meditation. Now it's even more clear, because I'm not going to forget it, because I'm like, I've been focusing on it for the last 30, 40 minutes. So I don't need to run and do something. Maybe if you wake up and you had a dream, that's maybe different, so you can go back to sleep. But like in this moment, I'm going to keep at it, and that seems to work. That's my strategy there for me.
That's awesome.
With anyone, yeah.
And I think Willie Nelson said it best. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Yeah.
And some ideas are like passing clouds, right? Where you just like, thank you, cloud, for being here momentarily, but you're just gonna, go away. Or, wow, that cloud is amazing. I'm going to take a picture of that. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to, if you're a visual artist, I'm going to paint that.
Right.
Or for us, we're going to make an audio recording, or we're just going to jump right on and start creating it. So you have to have that balance, and that intuition is what I'm hearing from you, right? You intuitively know, am I going to laser focus? Am I going to go further into this possibility of this sonic soundtrack that could emerge from my fingertips and from my consciousness, my mind, my heart, the ethers, the great spirit, wherever it's coming from.
Right.
So it's fantastic. I love that. Yeah. Thank you for that. And someone responded here. I don't see a name to the person. I'm sure it's, if we were to go on to Facebook, we'd see. My creative process is breath work, laughter yoga, making herbal oils infused with tony vibration, and laughter for healing others. Yes. I love that. We all have our own process. Yeah. That's so cool. I remember a good friend of ours, Greg Vaughn from Danyavad. He once shared his process, and it's like this full 7-stage cycle. One includes like a sauna, a hot tub, being on the outside and the stars, and just feeling connected, right? And that's who we are. Like, we're beings here on this planet, and we get to tap into the energies, the frequencies, and the sounds, and it really allows for that to take place. And so I always love to talk shop around, hey, how do you get inspired? Like for me, I love the trail run, and I know there's a park by your house, and doing workouts that can get the adrenals going and dopamine rush. And sometimes, as you said, like a song just emerges in your mind. And do you have this to go next layer into this conversation? Do you ever have these constant themes throughout your life where you're like, whoa, like you haven't necessarily written it down, or maybe you have, but it's just this timeless, or then it becomes a song. Like I remember when I first got the aha moment from loving music and listening to music to then, oh, I get to compose and create, besides the OPM, other people's music, I'm going to create my own. All of a sudden I was like, oh, but I have all these ideas, how do I like squeeze out all these ideas onto, back in the day, you'd actually handwrite music out. So yeah, that was my inclination, like, okay, how do I actually put all of these ideas how do I put my ducks in a row? And then which song gets the priority? Or going back to the passing clouds of ideas, like which idea wins? And it sounds like for you, your intuition is just, okay, I'm either going to go and figure it out or trust that it'll come back around, right? Like maybe when it's supposed to emerge.
Sometimes trust that it comes back around. That might be, but all the above, like really, it's all these different ways. I mean, I also sit at if I have a deadline, or when I say deadline, I mean like, oh, my daughter's going to be born, I'm going to write her a song. Like, I got to get, there was a story there. Like it was nights before the recording. I got to get a song, and her name's Melody, and it has to be the best one. Yeah. No pressure. And
no pressure. You're just going to be a dad. I'm playing. No, it's like a cosmic, pulsation of like what energy. Yeah. I love that.
but
no, I'm a
just,
big Eddie Van Halen fan. He wrote a guitar piece for his son Wolfgang called 316, and he played the guitar on his wife's belly. But he was inspired by his birth of his child, your birth of melody. So that's a moment, like that's a showstopper.
Yeah. Yeah, everything you did, all the examples you described has happened to me, and so I don't know. It's funny to talk about what's the strategy or what's the best way, but then sometimes it's all the above, and just allowing. Sometimes I lose an idea, and then I like trust it comes back. Sometimes I'm at the piano, I'm going to create something from that experience. Like, oh, that's going to sound good, and that's actually a good way too. That's just kind of feeling in while you're actually turns out also at the piano is a good place to
totally
so it's all of it. Yeah,
totally. And that's why the question is the art of creating the art. Like this is just an art of it all. And there's of course systems and science to it. There's always music theory we could talk about. That's for another show though. The question 5 here is our last of our 5Q DTO in the Flow series. So what and where can people, like, where can they go to find you? In-person events? How can people connect with you if they're in different countries, virtually? And maybe do you see any foreseeable time where you're going to get back onto like a tour schedule, or are you feeling like now, which I see a lot of artists doing, including myself, is I'm really embracing the virtual world because I can do a global launch event where many people can experience it. And on Twitch, YouTube, I know those are your two big platforms that you've been putting a lot of energy into, and they're beautiful videos. Oh my gosh, they're just gorgeous, and they're timeless. And that's what's great about algorithms and finding people. And there's always going to be someone on Google that wants to listen to piano. So where can people take action for both people? There's going to be like the hybrids that people want to see you live. Maybe they're in the Los Angeles area or Southern California, and then those individuals that could follow you. And while you're answering, I'll put your website up so everyone can jump on to Instagram and the website.
Excellent. Yeah. Well. So first of all, live events. Nothing is actually concrete on a regular. We are getting a lot of inquiries, and we have some one-offs like weddings. Wedding season is back, right? Right, Kim?
Yes. Weddings are coming back.
Yeah. Oh, she said she was helping with the light. Cool.
Yeah, you were like totally drunk.
Oh yeah, cool. So yes. There's a lot. I don't know about some of our live gigs that we've had. I mean, my regulars were Hotel Bel Air and the Parkway Grill in Pasadena, and there's no necessarily word on when that comes back. I'm on deck to see, and there might be a mall gig that might come as well. But like you said, it's really about the virtual world right now, and so where you can see me play is, I know there's people on Facebook, you probably have seen me already, is our Friday night show on Facebook and YouTube. We've been multi-streaming on Fridays, 5 p.m. Pacific. But also, if you didn't know, we've been on Twitch, and Twitch has actually been doing mostly Twitch, but we only do once a week on Facebook, YouTube. But the Twitch platform is what we're really embracing now, and that's an opportunity to really expand our audience worldwide. And so we've been doing that since our opening was Valentine's Day, and it's similar to our YouTube and Facebook stream, but it's even more engaging and more casual. And there's and see right here, I'm explaining some stories that people are asking about. Say something different, like all those lyrics. I mean, there's a lot to say, literally to say. And you can't do it all. You can't have those deeper lyrics, and then also compound it with advanced chords that doesn't quite add up. So you give it a little space, so then these lyrics can be felt.
Love that progression.
Yeah. So here I was talking about how to combine. Someone was asking me about writing classical music versus pop music, and then lyrics. And so I was kind of giving some more insight to that. So it's fun to engage with people. We have audience from Germany, the Netherlands.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
Chile. And so it's amazing to get on Twitch and expand the audience. So if you're on Twitch or have checked it out, please definitely follow me, because we're just getting going on there, and it's a lot of fun. And again, yeah, Melody joins in, and she's
there she is.
People love that. I mean, there's different artists doing different things, and of course we connect with other pianists and other artists. But I don't think I've seen any one with their daughter dancing and playing.
Oh,
and,
that's great.
and
you have tons of content too.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
She likes to make virtual pizza for people or ice cream.
Oh,
people take
order in for me. I'll definitely take some virtual pizza and ice cream.
So,
this is great. So yeah, anyone out there, make sure you go to Twitch and follow Jeremy Weinglass. It's Jeremy Weinglass across the board on all platforms. And if you tap the taplink.cc/Jeremy Weinglass, you'll get all of the places and spaces, and of course the website and Instagram. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, you have any closing words for us, Jeremy? Really enjoyed having a conversation with you today. I think it's very provocative for artists as well as people that are artists curious as far as taking on a musical instrument or anything. And I truly believe at the core, we're all artists. It's simply a matter of allowing for that self-expression to take place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I do have some closing thoughts. Something just kind of occurred to me, came up for me. We're talking about balance, and generally balance, like how to find our creativity, how to balance our lives, how to maneuver through the pandemic and maybe post-pandemic. I would say we're still in the next interesting time, and this interesting time we're about to step into is hybrids of virtual and live. And so if you really think about it, this just occurred to me that this itself is a balance. So I would say as an artist or as a performer or as anything, if this was the time you've been creating or at least had our lives completely pivoted and changed, but now we have an opportunity to balance and keep what we've created now, and also how do we step back into in-person experiences as well. And I say that's really what I want to focus on for me, and that's balance itself in this realm of the pandemic, and how to continue to expand audience, and how to continue to share and to create. And so I'm imagining the world where they can do both. Does our plate get more full? Probably, but that's our intention, is to add more live gigs and continue Twitch, continue the virtual experience, and continue to reach and connect with as many artists and people as possible. And I think that's, if we all in this together, we can all help each other and lift each other up through this next phase that we're all in the unknown.
I love that. It's a wonderful closing philosophy and possibility that is an inquiry for all of us. And so thank you for that invitation. And I'm grateful that we're in the hybrid model right now, where all this gear you could see right now went in my backpack, and I traveled from Costa Rica to LA and came from LA on a train down to San Diego. And so we can connect anywhere. There's Wi-Fi, there's fiber optics. So there's so much of the technology that's supporting our global connectivity to continue. And that ripple effect just keeps on going, and people can have an impact and on each other, right, with our art, and just stay self-expressed. And so anyone out there that's listening, watching, we are so appreciative, Jeremy, of you being on the 5Q interview series. And Absolutely. Anyone out there, you can check it out below, Jeremy Weinglass. And so grateful for everyone that's here. And remember, this is being streamed on a multitude of platforms as well. And we really want to make sure that we're reaching you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. And we all know there'll be another one someday too, right?
Oh, also, hey, also don't forget, now I'm going to flip it around on you, Dave. And
let's hear the Clubhouse.
I'm going to invite you to Clubhouse, because we have a little piano talk that we're doing. And so I have my other colleague and pianist friend. We've been doing a piano talk, and so piano and live streaming talk. So I thought you'd be perfect for our next guest. So we're going to do that.
Thank you. And that's May 21st.
21st, Friday the 21st. Yeah. At
3 p.m. I believe, right?
2 p.m. Well,
2 p.m. Yeah, time zones. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, time zones. 2 p.m. Pacific. Yes.
2 p.m. Pacific time. Okay,
yes.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'll put that up on the screen for everyone. And if you're not on that platform, Clubhouse, it's a great opportunity to connect with like-minded people. And it's called Piano Talk, Friday, May 21st, 2 p.m. And, get on Jeremy's newsletter, get on my newsletter as well.
Absolutely.
We'll make these announcements. And we're grateful that our community is so intertwined. I feel like there's this Venn diagram of people that we know, we're connected with, and then artists in the world. And anyone out there that hasn't met Jeremy, grateful that he had the opportunity. And anyone that hasn't met me, DTO, grateful that Jeremy and I are connected on his platforms as well. So thank you once again, and make it a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.